Thanks a lot for joining. You might be seeing a lot of fancy sessions with demos all day long, but we're going to keep it really boring, just PPT and slides. We'll have a lot of fun, all right? So we're going to talk about forging your way towards CTA. So full disclosure, we're not CTA architects yet, but we've been learning a lot, and we want to share our experience so far and give us tips that we have discovered so far and all the items that we are trying to make here. So myself, I'm Sid. I work for Schneider. I work on the innovation part. So I specialize in Salesforce implementations and other emerging technologies. I've been pursuing Salesforce for a long time, but I haven't been an active credential certification collector so far. But architect certifications are definitely interesting and inspiring. They're quite challenging. So it's worth to have those credentials, in my opinion. So in this pursuit, we decided to continue preparation for the CTA together. Pranil, maybe a little bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Pidikiti. I work as a Salesforce domain leader at PwC France. I work across Europe, working with a lot of companies in delivering a proper digital transformation. I'm an application and system architect before a year, or more than a year. It took a year for me to understand that, okay, I'm ready now to take a CTA. So next week I'm taking my board in London, so I'm not a CTA. Thank you. So whatever you see here is really our experience in the last 6 months, because we started really with very vague architecture, and now we are okay. So we are really happy with in the 6 months, at least with the time that we spent on. I think we refined a lot. So we thought that a lot of people, I was talking in the user groups, even in London, in Paris, I thought of sharing this because a lot of people start in a wrong way or a different way. So maybe they are trying to learn everything. That's not what CTA is all about. So here we are trying to explain that. So you'll be discovering our experience in a while.
Perfect. So let's jump in. So let's talk about a little bit about the exam. So maybe most of you have seen this fancy pyramid. So there are a few prerequisites. You have to clear all the architect certifications, not all of them, just the ones that are listed here, so that you'll be eligible for, that you'll gain your application and system architect, so which will earn you the eligibility to prepare for technical architect.
How many of you are system architect or application architect already?
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. So let's dive into a little bit on the format of how this the technical architect exam would be. So you'll be given a hypothetical scenario, which can be roughly 10-page document that explains what the company is trying to solve. They want to move to Salesforce. They have a lot of challenges, existing systems, and a huge document with all their problems. You'll be given 2 hours to kind of read and come up with a solution design. So we'll share some of the experience on how you can approach the design and solution part in here. And you have 45 minutes to present this to a board, maybe of 5-6 people, I guess. And you have 40 minutes for question and answers from the board. Okay. So our main goal in this session is to just focus on the exam part. We're not trying to make you a better architect, but if it happens that you become a better architect, it's purely safe harbor, all right? Cool. So why CTA is different? Like we suggested, there are 3 pieces that are a big difference for me. One is you have to present to a board, so this is a bit different than staring at a computer screen and hiding your emotions. Second one is it's not multiple choice, so you can't just eliminate the answers that you don't like or that don't fit the context. And there is a bit of coverage, so you need to read the complete 10-page document and make sure that you did not miss anything. So like we are used to with the multiple choice questions, if we did miss some part, but still the answer is similar, we still get lucky, right? So some of the basic tips that we've discovered so far, I don't know, it's probably just me, is try to avoid Stack Overflow style of reading. Like you just want to jump into the solution. There is so much content you don't want to process. This kind of prepares you to be more patient with the content that you're reading and not skip through a lot of text that you'll see in the exam. Try to visualize it with a real world implementation. So most of the scenarios that you'll be given are or companies that are trying to solve some problems. It is hypothetical, but it'll help if you can relate to a real world implementation. For example, if the scenario is about a ride hailing app, maybe relate it to Uber so that it's much easier for you to visualize. Note taking. So this is one of the big lessons for us is when you're trying to process 10 page of information, you might end up rewriting all of that in your own notes, which might end up creating a lot of clutter. So you have to practice a way that you can structure the way you're collecting notes, and at the end of 2 hours, you should not end up with more clutter than you started with. And sketching, definitely. How you can represent a simple answer in tables, fancy sketches, and other things does require a bit of practice, and there are good play-by-play sessions that you can definitely subscribe to. Improve your knowledge on App Exchange products. It's quite important. So personally, you can have a choice on whether you want to implement it that way. You don't have considerations. You might have considerations in your company that, hey, we are limited with licenses, we can't go this way, etc. But in the scenario, you probably have unlimited money. So think of App Exchange alternatives before jumping into customizing solutions. All right. To you for the approach.
Yeah. I know that you guys are really tight, so we'll try to make it as interactive as possible. So first of all, my approach, because initially when we start, we used to read the 10-page document and we used to write everything down, we used to highlight. And even when I read it back, I have no idea why I did that. So, my 10-page document, there's no proper pattern. So we understood after doing 3 scenarios, we understood, no, we can't waste our time like that, so we have to have a proper structure. So we went back to the whiteboard, we said, okay, what exactly we are trying to solve here? You have a scenario, you have a 10-page document. You have to go and present, you have to prepare for it. You have 2 hours to prepare and 45 minutes to present. And at last, there will be Q&A. Everything around this scenario. Okay, so then let's go step by step. Let's say in preparation, what I should do. I should have a proper structure. What should be there in my structure? Where it should be? Is it a paper board or is it a PowerPoint? So you will be drawing it on a flipboard or you will be doing in a PowerPoint. Everything you should be very clear. You should not change in between. So you have to, whichever is comfortable, pick one direction, practice, practice, practice. So structure and rapid reading and rapid sketching. There's an error, sorry. Rapid reading and rapid sketching, because 10 pages in 2 hours reading and writing is not easy. That's not, I don't do that often. So I take more time around, especially when I see any request for a proposal or something, it takes 15 minutes for me to read a paper or a page. So that's not what they want. They want you to be really fast. So what you are trying to scan there is the keywords, the entities, the important requirements. So you're trying to tie these things together to build a story. So you have to have that kind of an approach. The idea is not to go back and repeat this whole scenario to your friend. The idea is to, in the 2 hours, give a solution. That's it. That's it with the preparation. In the presentation, once, imagine that in 2 hours you have a wonderful artifacts. Now you have to present that. If you don't have, you can't connect all the artifacts together with a business requirement, either functional or non-functional. Judges won't be really, they won't understand what you are trying to tell. That is also really important. And the coverage map. So coverage map will tie it back to the scorecard. There is a scorecard for CTA. Anyone saw the scorecard for CTA? There are around 6 domains and one optional domain, which is communication. For the 6 domains, there are some questions. So there are 3-page document that judges will have. They will see that, okay, this guy talked about mobile strategy or not? Yes. So org strategy, so there are around 31 questions. So we have to really cover that. At the end of the day, judges will see the scorecard. They don't really care how good your presentation is. What they want is that you cover everything or not. Talking about the Q&A, you really have to have a good understanding. Good understanding doesn't mean that you should know everything. At least you should know, for an example, you should know when to use CPQ. No need to be an expert on CPQ. No need to be an expert on FSL, Field Service Lightning. Just know when to use what. Try to build a decision matrix. Territory management. But one of the complicated thing in the CTA is the sharing thing. Sharing for the architect certification is different. CTA is a whole new level. You have to really understand when to use what, account teams, or do you want to use super user, or there are a lot of things that layer by layer. So you have to build a matrix kind of a thing for you to given which requirement. So you have to go through a step-by-step process, or else you will waste a lot of time. And you have to build cheat sheets. For the 6 domains, you have to have, right now, if you go to Salesforce documentation, there are around n number of documents. There are around 600 pages or so. You can't read the 600 pages. You can read once. You can scan through that. You can say that, hey, these limits are important. Okay, put in the limits cheat sheets. This decision tree is important. Put in that. So, okay, this deep dive on the sharing model is important. Put in the sharing cheat sheet. Try to take the bits and pieces and build a minified cheat sheet. That will be your go-to reference. When people say that you have to know everything, no, you have to know important things, not everything. There are a lot of things there that you don't really use. And there's a solution decision guide. You have to build it after doing 3 or 4 scenarios. I haven't even did any scenario, a sample scenario here. Okay, so when you do a scenario, you have an architect community where you have a bunch of scenarios, and you can write your own scenarios too. When you do 1 or 2 scenarios, you understand there is a pattern. Always they say that there is a web page that's pushing some cases, some leads. There is a payment module. These things repeat. For those things, try to build a scenario, a solution. So put an Excel or something for all the things that the payment module, how it works, ESB, all those things. Try to map a requirement and keep it in mind. So when the requirement comes, you will not use a lot of your energy. You will just give that solution. Of course, you can't build solution map for the whole scenario, but try to do as much as possible. So you reduce your rudimentary cognitive energy. And last thing is 30-second answers. In the Q&A, 40 minutes, they'll be asking you around 30 or 35 questions, out of which they will ask you to draw the SSO flows, OAuth flows, things like that. So don't waste a lot of time. If they ask you something, be precise. What they want is a keyword, not your whole explanation. They don't even have time to listen to you. So try to be very, very precise. And next one is the scorecard driven. So this is the scenario driven. So how you start your thinking from scenario, that is scorecard driven. As I said, in scorecard there are 6 modules. See each and every question. Based on that, build a model. Because scenario driven gives you what we are solving. Scorecard driven gives you what you should cover. Then you will build which artifact should cover what. That's the structure that we'll see in the next step. Yeah, we'll put both of them. So nowadays I draw everything because in the real board I'm going to draw. I'm not going to use PPT. It's time consuming. So this is my structure. So when I have a scenario, I put a flipboard there. The first thing is I will be having an introduction. What is an introduction? Let's go through the first level and then we'll go in detail. I have introduction, personas, system landscape, integration, all the integration table, role hierarchy, data model, your business requirement, functional and non-functional, and your governance model. This is my structure. All the scenario I have to squeeze into these elements. The same thing over there, that's the narrative. This is my structure, that's the narrative. This is what I use during the preparation. This is what I use during the presentation. So when in the first slide, I show the introduction. Let's say it's United Recycling Company. First thing I should talk is who is this company? Where are they? What are they doing? What business objective are we solving? Without saying that, there's no point in talking about the scenario. Judges should understand that you're solving really important business requirement here. You're not there just to give an architecture. Architects are there for a purpose. So that's what judges want to know. So first thing is you give an introduction, less than a minute, because I have a time-bounded frame for everything. So next thing is landscape. Next thing is personas. Recently I changed, so this persona came there. In the persona, I have who are the key actors in the scenario. They can be some service agents, they can be sales agents, they can be external users, what they are doing. So who are they? How much volume they are? Are they internal or external? What kind of license you will be giving? And how can you justify that? You should build a table with this element. This is very important because that gives the judges an approach that you know very well what kind of a license is doing what. Next thing is the risks, assumptions, and key decisions. This is very important. Sometimes in this 11-page scenario, you don't have all the elements. So sometimes you should assume. You should not go to the judge and ask, okay, I don't understand because the requirement is incomplete. No, when it is incomplete, you build it. You fill the gaps. You fill the gaps because I thought this is the solution. Because the main key rule in we'll talk it again and again because this is so important. In a presentation, you should always tie back to a requirement. Let's say you say that I want to use ETL or ESB. because ESB is good, because we always do that. But why are you doing that? What requirement, which line in the scenario is talking or tying it back to the ESB? There'll be somewhere, you should find it, because ESB is mandatory, so it should be there. The only thing is you should tie back. That's what they would like to hear. Then you will talk about the data model. Data model is one point where a lot of people do mistakes. How I know that? Because I was trained by a guy, Seb Wagner. I think some of you guys know. There is a company called Flow Republic. They train CTAs. I was trained by them, so they gave me a lot of information. So I'm trying to, based on that statistics, a lot of people do errors on data model because either they don't really understand the data model or they don't put enough information on the data model. So in the data model, I would like to put the OWD, internal and external, this object, what exactly is the OWD. Next thing is, who is the owner of this object? Initially, I thought, why do we have to put owner? But in terms of sharing table, in terms of sharing, your life will be really simple when you know who is the owner. So imagine always that who is the owner of an object. Then you have to think of volume. What exactly is the volume? Because here, LDV will come into place. You will have some objects that have LDV problem, or you have to build a strategy around it. So you have some object with volume, so put volume everywhere. Whenever there is more than 3.5 million, say that this is LDV concerned object. How you deal with the LDV? Skinny table, you can give a solution, that's a different thing. But at least try to project that. And last two things are your relationship type. So is it master detail or lookup, or if it is an external table. So you try to project that using a color code, or use it right directly on that. Last thing is the object type. Is it custom object? Is it standard object? Is it external object? You have to put that too. And other thing is personas. I think personas we talked before. And role hierarchy. You have to draw a very simple role hierarchy. In case if you are using territory management, you have to have two role hierarchies. Your regular role hierarchy and your territory management. And you have to clearly distinguish between the internal and external users. You have to. If it is customer portal, there is no role, because they will see that. So they will expect you to say that. Because I use this guy, they won't be there in the role hierarchy. CCP and partner community, they will be there, but with a different color code. Things like that. And last thing is the requirement. So try to finish all these things in 18 minutes, because that's my timeline, because you have 5 minutes, and the rest, because there will be around 80 requirements. You have to talk one by one, so you need some time there. So you finish this around 18, less than 20 minutes. It's up to you, your pace. The requirements are functional and non-functional. Functional will be, okay, this company is having a sales process. They try to group them. There is a sales process, installation process, after sales process, or business reporting. No, not reporting won't come, but in high-level business processes. Try to see them at a high level. Try to understand the module as a whole, and try to solve it. Don't go step by step, because it will take a lot of time. And the non-functional roles are your reporting. What are the reporting requirements? Your accessibility. Who should see what? Because this is where it's going to be tricky. Because you should really understand all the data model, your role hierarchy, and all the things that you put already, so that you have to give a precise answer. Okay, this is going to be done by account teams. This is going to be done by criteria-based sharing rule. You have to clearly tell that. And if it is going to be criteria-based, you have to tell which field is tying back. So time, yeah, okay. So I think the last thing is the governance. Governance is also very important, though it is static, because governance, delivery, environment strategy is always kind of same. So try to have a static model and talk through it. Yeah, please go ahead.
Let's go to the...
This is one sample artifact, because it's super ugly, because the idea is that to tell that they don't care about how many colors you use, how good you are your things are really straight or not. No. The idea is, do you have everything here? Your existing applications, your system landscape, current applications, your new application, the modules in the application, your app exchange, your mobile strategy. So everything should be depicted here. That's it. So in a given time, you can't really give a very beautiful presentation. So this will work. That's what my idea is too. And even data model is that. So here I haven't put the relationships, but idea is that try to have a kind of model that works for you. Here I'm giving what exactly is OWD, who is the owner, what exactly is the volume, where is the LDV strategy, is it a custom object or not?
2 minutes.
Okay, so yeah, and the last thing is, as I said, the sample resources, it's pretty important, because as I said, this is the key base, because I have now a week, last week I know that there's 1 week to go. I prepare a chart saying that it's 100 hours to exam. In the 100 hours, I'm not going to go and read everything. I'm going to read all these things that I'm preparing in the last 3 months. This is my cheat sheet. In the cheat sheet, I have every module. In the module, I have every categorization, key feature, and when it is good fit for. You have to build something like that. And then I have a small slide explaining all the license considerations. Which license contain what. And I have a Quizlet, where I have all the questions that when I come up, so when I do a scenario, when I do the solution fitting, when I find it, so I write it down. I have a highlighting process. Where do I highlight? Where do I write my solution? I should get used to it, so I should practice more and more. Right now, because I did already 15 scenarios, I'll be doing 10 more before my exam. So that kind of a practice is required. There, everything should be a reflex. You can't go and think, okay, how to deal with it. So then you will gain a lot of time. I think that's it. So try to have tables, because sometimes having tables is very simple, because no need to read. Okay, when this is that, try to simplify it for your understanding. Maybe this is this thing, and when I give it to you guys, you don't understand, because it's made for me, because for my brain. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll jump in. We're pretty much close to the time. So some of the key takeaways that we have come up with is practice thinking in this kind of structure that Pranil has just highlighted. It's going to be a bit painful because we are in a rush to jump into solution and we want to build those things. But go to the top, try to just prepare a structure. Practice a lot, presenting, practice a lot with time bound, without time bound. Even if you don't manage to finish your scenario within the 2 hours, make sure that you prepare your key, prepare the final solution, even if it takes you a couple of days or a week or something like that. And practice precise answers. We're quite used to having 1 hour or 2 hour long meetings where we can blabber whatever we want in our companies, but unfortunately we can't do that. So try to be as precise as you can and reduce any other unnecessary words that you can have. Tie a solution to a requirement. When you're explaining any landscape, architecture, any boring technical topic, it has to come up because of a requirement. If that is not there, it's not justified why you're explaining that. Try recording yourself. Maybe the way your voice sounds is entirely different in your head than it will be in front of the board. Try to practice scenarios where you're being cornered, like you're pushed into a wrong answer and you have to defend yourself, etc. So those kind of things will definitely help you prepare better for the exam. Right, that's pretty much it. I think we are a little bit over time, so.
Yeah, not much. I should have given you some warning, so.
Excellent. No problem. So we will close the room, but you can come to us and ask us any questions.
Yeah, we'll be sharing the slides.
Thanks for the laptop, by the way. It's a lifesaver.